The 2025 Formula One season is less than a couple of weeks away, and as it is set to be an exciting season with multiple title contenders, I have decided to break down each of these potential title contenders, analyze their strengths and weaknesses. We will be covering Oscar Piastri in this video, starting with his strengths. The biggest strength of Oscar Piastri is his racecraft and his ability to pick the right spots for overtaking and not taking unnecessary risks. Because of this, his overtakes are usually clean, he manages to execute them perfectly well. And because he doesn't take any kind of unnecessary risks, he usually makes the move stick. A great example of that comes from the 2024 Belgian Grand Prix when he came out of the pits on lap 12 and went on to make a great move on George Russell. And on the lap after that, he made the same exact move on Sergio Perez. And I think on lap 36, he made another great move on Charles Leclerc, all of them in that same Grand Prix. Another interesting thing that proves Oscar Piastri's amazing racecraft is if you go and look at the top 20 overtaking moves from 2024 by Formula One's official YouTube channel, 25% of those overtaking moves feature Oscar Piastri. The second strength of Oscar Piastri is his defensive ability. So I'll give you two quick examples over here. The first one from Monaco 2024 and the second one is Azerbaijan 2024. I think a lot of people know the Azerbaijan one, considering he won that race in a spectacular fashion. So I'll talk about the Monaco one first. He starts P2, he finishes P2, he executes the one-stop strategy beautifully. And as the race was coming to an end, Carlos Sainz was putting the pressure on him. Now, obviously, I know that in Monaco, overtaking is difficult, but when you are defending, it's also critical in Monaco to not make any kind of mistakes. There is very little clearance around the track, and very few areas around the track have runoff areas. So, if while pushing hard, defending against a charging Carlos Sainz, who has a point to prove because he has just been fired from Ferrari, is difficult. And he held on to that position to finish in the second place. Obviously, in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, we all have seen the footage, him sliding around the last corner along with Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc was right there behind him. He was less than a second behind Oscar Piastri. Obviously, a little bit of credit goes to the McLaren's pure performance, but at the same time, Oscar Piastri managed the pressure very well. Speaking of managing the pressure well, the third advantage of Oscar Piastri is remaining calm under stressful situations. The demeanor of Oscar Piastri is different compared to everybody else. A great example of that comes from Abu Dhabi 2024, when Max Verstappen collided with Oscar Piastri in the opening lap of the race. He didn't lash out at his team. From what we have heard from the radio messages, he was like a little bit sarcastic, move of a world champion. He doesn't let the negative incidents around him cloud his judgment through the race. He gets his head down and keeps on pushing. This enhances his defensive skills as well and his overtaking skills as well. The fourth advantage of Oscar Piastri is not specifically related to his skill set, but the team that he is in, which is the papaya rules. Papaya rules enable Piastri to race hard and fair against his own teammate and the favorite to win the World Championship in 2025 by some people, not by me. I believe that he is capable of it on pure racecraft and defensive skills. I think Piastri is better than Lando. And papaya rules allow Oscar to attack Lando Norris when fighting for a World Championship. And we have seen this already in 2024 when he made that amazing move on Lando Norris. Now let's move on to the weaknesses. The first weakness of Oscar Piastri is his qualifying performance. In 2023, he was down 15-7 compared to Lando, and in 2024 that even became worse. Lando outqualified Oscar on 20 occasions. That's a concerning thing if you want to challenge for world championships, because okay, you can count that you can steal the lead from Lando Norris on the opening lap because he bottles the race starts, But if you're aiming to win a world championship and you're competing against the likes of rookies like Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, who will be in an Adrian Newey designed car in 2026, it's gonna be hard to bank on just your racecraft, just your defensive skills, calmness, and papaya rules to win the world championship. You need to qualify well because in races like Monaco, which I think Piastri could have won had he started from pole position, those little bit of championship points can be critical. And it's not just Monaco. In the 2024 Mexican Grand Prix, Piastri had a great drive. He started P17 and finished P8, which is impressive considering it's Mexico. Overtaking is not that easy. Going from P17 all the way to P8 is actually an impressive performance, but at the same time, you couldn't just help but wonder, what if Piastri didn't exceed the track limits at turn 12 in the first qualifying run? With Max Verstappen attacking Lando Norris in Mexico and McLaren having the clear pace advantage compared to the Ferraris and rest of the cars, he potentially could have won that race. Either way, qualifying is an issue that Piastri needs to iron out. The second weakness of Oscar Piastri is that he still lacks consistency across all tracks and race conditions. So if you take the example of Sao Paulo 2024, that was a race I was really hoping Piastri would work some magic. But obviously it didn't happen. He had that collision with Liam Lawson for which he got a 10-second penalty. And throughout the race, his stints were just unimpressive. If I were to say it in one word, he was not attacking anybody. He was not pushing the limits of the car. I admit that making overtakes is difficult when there's spray literally coming into your eyes, but you cannot expect yourself to win world championships if you don't excel in all kinds of conditions, in all kinds of tracks, is all I'm gonna say. Yes, that was just a single example, a single performance. This means that Piastri does have a lot of room to improve. The third and final weakness of Oscar Piastri is similar to the fourth advantage I mentioned a few moments earlier. It's not related to him per se, it's related to the team that he is in, which is the strategy issues. Silverstone GP, that's where they fucked Oscar badly. They should have double stacked 20 seconds he lost by doing that extra one. That's not something that is under his control. And as McLaren are still growing in terms of their championship mentality because they have spent a long time in the back of the field and in the middle of the pack, right now they have to learn things very quickly, get that championship level mentality very quickly, and be decisive in their strategy and actions and stuff like that. So in conclusion, Oscar Piastri has great racecraft, phenomenal defense, calm nerves, and is blessed to be in a team where he is free to compete with his teammate. However, he has some issues while maintaining good, strong qualifying performance. He has some issues while being consistently on a championship level in all sorts of tracks, in all kinds of conditions. And he also has to deal with the current incompetency by McLaren pit wall because they're still in their, getting used to being at the front of the field. They have that problem still, so he still has to deal with these weaknesses. But I definitely believe Piastri can beat Lando and edge Charles in the 2025 season, but he definitely needs to iron out all of the rough edges in his game to beat the likes of Hamilton or Verstappen, because these two guys are in a class of their own in terms of being consistent across all of the races, being aggressive, and that finesse is what I'm saying. Piastri needs to improve. Who knows? He may have already improved, and all of the weaknesses that I just listed out, they mean fuck all when we hit the Melbourne track. So I guess we will see in time. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.